Hey guys, I'm just going to do a little video for tips for new makers on how to get into this section here and even kind of that curve there without leaving too many scratches behind. Gameco does a little product, they're like sanding barrels that you can mount into your drill press or into a die grinder, something like that, and they'll actually help maintain that curve. They'll get rid of file marks and that sort of thing. When I started out, I found that this section in the curve and the choil or the finger grooves, they're really hard to get into if you're just hand sanding. It's the type of thing that you'd use if you don't have a small contact wheel, something like that that you can grind into with. So I'll just do a little bit of a demo on how those work. So what the product actually is, it's these changeable sanding barrels that go over a rubber mandrel. The mandrel is 1 inch across, 25mm. It's about 19mm tall, and it's got a 6mm thick shaft on it there. It won't fit into a Dremel, but it'll fit into tools most beginners will have in their workshop, like a drill. You put it in a drill press or a hand drill if you like, or a die grinder, something like that. The mandrel pops out simply by pushing through the back. Then you can change to the next grit by pushing them and twisting them at the same time to get them back on there. It comes in 4 grits, so 40, 60, 80 and 120. You can buy each of those grits in like a 5-pack, or there's a beginner's kit including the mandrel and 5 of each grit that we stock, so that represents pretty good value there. It should get you through a few knives. Okay, so now I've done all that filing and I've used like the file this way, used it up and down, that way, this way. There's scratches going all over the place. So what you really want is to have scratches all flowing in the same direction so you can then start with your hand polishing with the wet and dry. So I'll go and move over to the drill press where I'm going to mount the mandrel in now. Okay, so now I've mounted the drum and the mandrel into the chuck of my drill press. I've just got it up a little bit higher so that you don't get any flex in the stem there. These are made of the Good Cling Spore CS912Y abrasive material there, I'm pretty sure. It'll work a lot better and probably last longer if you put it in a drill and go fast. This stuff responds to hard, fast grinding, a little bit like the blaze belts do. So all I'm going to do is rest knife on the table, put up so it's perpendicular, and then push in, move it around, and I should get a nice clean radius maintained on my knife and start to get rid of all those scratches from the file marks. I'm not sure if that's in focus there, but already I'm starting to get a nice even scratch pattern. There's a couple of little bits still with file marks on them. This is the 60 grit, I believe, but it's yeah, really bring that time on the job down. Okay, so I've taken it up to 120 and you can see it's nice, smooth. Kept a nice curve to it. There's a tiny little speckle of material there I still need to grind on a little bit, but other than that, way easier than sitting there with like a piece of tube with some wet and dry strapped around it pushing away for I can't even remember how long it takes. It's so long since I've done one by hand, but yeah, could be handy for people out there who don't have all the pro gear. Cheap, adaptable. Like I said before, I think it'd probably work best in a drill. You're just probably going to lose a little bit of control there, whereas using it in my drill press, I had a nice flat surface to work on and I could smooth out all around the radius. I wasn't going to dig in too much. Yeah, there you go. I'll put a link to that product in the description of this video. Cheers. And I think tomorrow I'll do a video on this stuff, K-Quench, or like the Fast Quench from Horton. And I'll kind of talk about that in relation to some of the different steels that might be available to new knife makers. Primarily a lot of information kind of gets passed around. The 1095 and 01 are really good for beginner knife makers. But if they're accessible, sure, but there are probably better things for people to be using these days, and a lot of new makers kind of come to us asking for that sort of thing. So maybe I'll go over why they're not the best choice and some of the other bits of information about that.